Two good questions. So in terms of the uncertainties associated with the reference level, when we started doing the analysis, there were multiple layers of uncertainties that we had to consider. First, if you look at the IPCC guidelines and methodologies, the uncertainties associated with that, according to their own experts, go up to 50%. So just the IPCC is saying, like, what are the uncertainties associated with calculations of, emissions and the flux of carbon in forests? 50%. This is also one of the reasons why Brazil has always been against the markets for forests, because you see only in the beginning of the methodology, before I touch it and put my own data, it has already a level of 50%. But then, of course, that's already there for all countries, so you wouldn't have to insert that at your own uncertainty calculations. So in the country's uncertainty calculations, the layers are the uncertainties associated with the calculations applied to the carbon map. Ours was done in 1975. Easy to say there is no uncertainty calculation associated with that map. So right now, the Ministry of Science and Technology is finishing a calculation associated with that map, and it's improving it to reduce the uncertainty, but we yet do not have a number for the uncertainties in the carbon map. The other level of uncertainties are with the use of an allometric equation that was developed in a specific state by an institute called INPA for the allometric equation is one equation for the whole biome. Since we are presenting the results at the biome level, the uncertainties associated with the equation are offset. If you were to use the same equation for a project level, the uncertainty would really go up. So the uncertainty associated with the allometric equation is close to zero, so it's not valid. Then you have the uncertainties associated with the monitoring and the maps and the cloud cover and everything else. The way that INPE calculates that, it ranges from 7 to 15% in terms of uncertainty, but it varies a lot in different years. Some years you have a bigger cloud coverage, and so it would be really hard to just give one number for all years. And then you have the uncertainties associated with projecting the data backwards, which does not correspond with the specific data for the years that I mentioned before, from 1996 until 2000. So we have an uncertainty section of our reference level. I suggest you read the whole section because it's very detailed, but it's very hard to just put one number in the end for everything. And I expect that this will be a section that we will have to respond to a lot of questions in the evaluation process. In terms of learning from the experience from the Annex 1 countries, as part of our technical group of experts, we have 3 experts that are that evaluate inventories for developed countries. So they brought a lot of experience in terms of how developed countries present the data, how sketchy some of it is, and how we should be careful to not be too strict with ourselves. So if anything else, the fact that they had experience evaluating inventories from developed countries brought us to a more simple approach and to be less concerned about doing things too strict. So it gave us more flexibility to do our things without worrying too much, because the things that they were presenting had a higher level of uncertainty. Some of them use projections, and I can vouch that this is much better than most developed countries are presenting, because this was the assessment from some of the experts that evaluate inventories for developed countries have said. So it's a good idea to exchange information with these experts from developing countries that are part of the roster of experts from the UNFCCC, because for us, for people who are not part of this, if you get the reports, you think that they are perfect, but only the people who went through the process with them know of the issues that they have. So it would be a good recommendation to get some of the feedback from these experts.
Gracias, Leticia. Les invito entonces a, si tienen cualquier consulta adicional, pueden seguir de manera bilateral con Leticia, todavía estará por acá, así que tenemos tiempo de conversar con ella. Estamos terminando esta sesión, estamos bastante tarde. Quisiera pedirles dos cosas. Primero, estar de vuelta después del almuerzo a las 2:30 en punto acá para iniciar nuestra última sesión técnica y luego de eso tenemos solo la sesión de finalización. Y la segunda cosa que les quiero pedir es una ronda de aplausos muy fuerte para este grupo de países que ha compartido tanto con nosotros. Y con eso terminamos la sesión.